Hey everyone. Oh, let me move this over. Okay, there we go. So yes, I am Kristen Sanders and I'm out of New Mexico. Is there anybody in here that went to B-Sides Albuquerque? I know it was mentioned earlier. So I'm one of the organizers of B-Sides Albuquerque. This is my first time out here at CactusCon and this is amazing. So I hope that we can get B-Sides Albuquerque to just be half of what CactusCon is, because this is awesome, and thank you guys so much for having me. Also, co-founder of Chile Sec, president of InfraGard New Mexico. If you've never heard of InfraGard and you're interested in InfraGard, talk to me about it, and we'll have some discussions about why you should join. So we're gonna have a little bit of a hacker history lesson here. So there is a history of trying to do positive change and change the world, make things better in the hacker community. And I just want to point out that this is not something new. This is something that has been done for years. The internet freedom, anti-censorship, human rights, ethics and technology, transparency, freedom of information, cybersecurity advocacy, and responsible disclosure. All of these groups, some of them are still around, some of them are not still around, but they're fighting for these things. And I want to continue doing that. But we have a slightly different threat landscape nowadays. We now have nihilistic violent extremists. Have anybody heard of that or the 764 network? Okay, a few people. So when you start researching these things, you'll start going down some rabbit holes. So we're not going to go down the rabbit holes for this conversation. This is new. 764 was out of Texas originally, and they are super, super messed up. Usually when you think about victimizing children, you think of sicko pedophiles, but these guys are just extremist anarchists that just want to do absolutely horrific things, not because there's any gratification out of CSAM type material, but just because it's illegal and they want to see the entire system break, which means exploiting your children. Hey, cool, fair game. They're all for it. And then once they exploit the children, they get the children to exploit other children. It's really, really sick what these guys are doing. And we're talking producing CSAM, but also things such as like self-harm and even suicide in a lot of youth. So this is a hot button issue. Obviously CSAM previously was called child pornography. That's not the term we use anymore. That's an issue. Human trafficking, sextortion, cyberstalking. There's been a pretty big uptick in that. I've seen that a lot with the universities from all of the OnlyFans pages, because that's a really great way to make some cash to pay for college. But a lot of the girls who are spinning up these pages have no idea how to really hide who they are, and they pick up these creepy guys who will not leave them alone and even end up making bomb threats at graduation. So that's a fun new one. And then elder fraud, which nobody here was really at B-Sides except for Robert. But B-Sides Albuquerque, I originally gave this presentation and I didn't talk about elder fraud. It wasn't on my radar. And there was a ton of questions afterwards about elder frauds and how do we talk to our parents? So that's what we're really going to dive into today, because obviously that's very important. So first of all, how can we get involved with trying to help out? One way we could do it is by helping out some of these nonprofits that are working with law enforcement to try to fight these crimes. That could be using your talents. A lot of these nonprofits, I found out, have horrendous cybersecurity, and they have some very, very sensitive information on victims that needs to be protected. And we're talking if this information gets out on these women that were trafficked previously, there could be loss of life. So this is very serious that this information be protected, and it's just not there. So if you can help these guys out, all these nonprofits, that's huge. Money, obviously, that always helps out. If they've got more money coming in, then they can afford to hire people to help them out. AWS credits was something that they also said that they could use. I had no idea, had never thought about that. Access to Microsoft products, Slack, API development, that's a huge one too, because they're trying to find secure ways of sharing information with law enforcement securely, keyword there. So they really need help with that. And then even with web hosting, they need some help with that. So those are kind of some ways that you can either donate your talents or some resources to help out the nonprofits that are working with law enforcement. Do I have anybody in here that really enjoys OSINT? All right. So this is a really cool way that you can legit get involved. They have skull games. This one's more for like OSINT professionals. Like, this is your day job. You know what you're doing. There is a assessment that has to be done, and then they're going to sit there and qualify you and say, yes, you can be part of this or not. They're entire weekend long events, and it's actually for victim identification from sex trafficking. So that's why there is a vetting process that goes through with this for participating in that one. Trace Labs, if you are wanting to get into OSINT, or maybe it's just your hobby, you enjoy doing it, this one, it's much easier. There's not the whole vetting process you have to go through, but this one actually identifies missing persons as part of their OSINT CTFs. So super cool way to get involved. So if this is your thing, check this out. Maybe start with Trace Labs, and then maybe you can work your way into skull games. But this is an awesome way to also build up your resume as well, plus get that feeling of helping out. The next thing is educating our kids. All I can say is if your kid doesn't have a cell phone yet, try to delay that for as long as possible. Maybe give them a flip phone if they'll take it that. I mean, this is really, really sick, the stuff that is going on right now. Social media, if your kids don't have social media yet, again, delay that for as long as possible. When they do get social media, talk to them about not sharing every freaking thing out there. It amazes me how much our kids want privacy and, oh, I don't want, you going through my business and knowing what's going on. But yet they will share anything and everything out on social media. Or you have the discussions of, you know what, let's lock down your account and then only your followers and the people you're following, like let's keep that small. Okay, cool. And next thing you know, there's like 6,000 followers, and it's like, you don't know these people. So what was the point of locking down your account to only your followers when you sat there and allowed every single freaking person out there to follow you and you have no idea who they are? Again, conversations that need to be had. A lot of times in the video games, you have to monitor those conversations. There are different things that are being put in, like in Roblox, where they're looking and trying to block this stuff from happening. Does it work 100% of the time? No, absolutely not. But they're trying. But you have to watch it because it very quickly goes from the social media chat and DMs and all of your, Roblox chats. Suddenly it will go to these chat apps. So if you're seeing like a lot of Telegram usage or Wiz on your kid's phone, those are major red flags. So follow up with that, kind of figure out who they're talking to, why they're talking to them. Is it their boyfriend off of Roblox? Not a good thing. And then again, we have another issue now too with AI, because we used to tell people, don't send nudies, right? I mean, maybe that's your boyfriend now and it's not going to be your boyfriend, in the future, and revenge porn and issues like that. But now, especially if I'm sharing everything on social media, or if parents are sharing everything about their kids on social media, that's on us too. They can sit there and grab those images and create whatever they want with it with AI. So your kid's not actually sending nudies, but they made them in AI, and it looks like your kid. Also, getting their voice from videos that they've posted on TikTok or whatever platform they're using, and using that to scam loved ones and say, oh, it's just emergency, I need you to send this money. Those are the types of things we need to talk about. Are they awkward conversations? Yes, but they need to happen. We have to do it continuously. We can't just have it one and done. I will say that my daughter, when I had these conversations with her, she acted like I was the biggest idiot ever and just, oh my God, Mom, I can't believe you talk about this. But then when it actually came down to it and her friend was having an issue, I find that she's texting her friend going, hey, your new Roblox boyfriend, probably you shouldn't tell him where you live or your real name or give him anything. Don't tell him what school you go to. She's like, because he might be like some 50-year-old dude and he's just lying to you. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny because mom was a huge idiot and yet you're telling your friend all this stuff. So if your kids are not, it seems like it's going in one ear and out the other, they are retaining some of it. Just keep hounding them. Trust but verify. I don't want to sit there and say, like, don't trust your kids at all. But there's some really, really bad threat actors out there that are grooming our children and convincing them. And even though you've told them a million times, don't do that, they're getting them to make really dumb decisions because, lack of frontal lobe development. Implement parental controls absolutely on the devices. Please do this. There's also really good apps out there that, even though I'm a huge privacy advocate, my child does not get privacy given situations that I see all the time that pop up. So yes, I have apps that monitor her phone and will alert me if there's any chats that are going on that seem like they need to be looked at. But again, you got to have these conversations and be upfront with your kid too. Don't put something on their phone going through their stuff and not tell them about it. I'm all about transparency. Yes, don't do something stupid because mom's going to see it. I give you a heads up. If you do something dumb, you've been warned. And you absolutely need to be 100% up in your kid's business. They're your kid. So that's your job. And then reinforce no judgment. They need to know that there's safety. So if they make a stupid decision, which can happen, they need to come to you immediately. If someone does create AI content and puts it out there, you don't want them to take that to heart and start, having signs of depression, or they start doing self-mutilation, any of these things that could come out of that. You want to make sure you're there, or taking their own life. Just make sure that they know they can come to you and it's safe. Okay, now the educating your parents. This one might sound a little confrontational, but when I really thought about this, I'm like, really the best way to help out your parents is if you become a really good social engineer. And we should use social engineering for good. Some people are saying, hey, that's manipulation. Okay, but I need to make sure that my parent is doing the right thing and not getting scammed and losing their entire retirement savings to some idiot. So I would say, let's make sure that we're approaching this with empathy, because you cannot approach this the same way that you do with your kids. If you're going to sit there and tell your parents hey, you screwed up clicking on that link, so I'm going to take your phone away, not going to go over too well. Same issue with putting parental controls on your parents' phones. I mean, I don't think that was the purpose. If you have a relationship with your parent where they want you to do that, hey, cool, but I seriously doubt it. Again, this is very much based on your relationship too, because we all know some of us have very good relationships with our parents and some of us do not. So given that, your situation, it's going to be very unique for how you approach this subject with your parents, if you're the one to do it or if you recruit somebody else to do it. But I would say open-ended questions, maybe sharing stories of scams. I'm sure we work in cybersecurity. We hear the stories all the time. It's very easy to share stories of, hey, this happened to so-and-so's parents and this, they wiped out their account, or, hey, they were headed to the bank and luckily they just happened to think, you know what, maybe I should ask, my son about this. And they stopped it. Body language is a huge one too. So we really want to make sure that when we're having these conversations, we're not having that judgmental stance, and we need to be very empathetic. We need to have the right body language. We need to watch our parents' body language, and then be vulnerable. It's okay to tell them look, this scares me. I see this happening and I want to make sure that, you know what to do. I don't want to see anything happen to you, and putting that out there. There's some really good resources, and I will list those here shortly, on learning how to read people's body language, which is very helpful. Learning how to do different negotiation techniques. If you want to get good at social engineering, absolutely, you should be looking at those resources. If you are in sales, you should be looking at those resources. There's a lot of really weird crossovers between hostage negotiations, sales, and social engineering. Very bizarre. but I swear. So if you see any content out there that is written by somebody that was a FBI hostage negotiator, it's probably something good to check out. If you see something out there that's from a sales guy, probably good to check out. I mean, literally that's what you do in sales is you are social engineering people to get the product, right? I mean, but you want to do it for good. We never want to take advantage of people. That's why it's social engineering for good. Let's keep it positive. And if you just have a horrible relationship with your parents or they are not receptive to anything you say, find somebody that your parent does trust and get them to do it. Educate them, have them talk to your parents. It doesn't have to be you because we're all in different situations with our parents. So it's really important to have others that you can lean on if that's what it takes to get through to your parents. So these are the helpful resources. If anybody was kind of interested in some of those groups that I put the pictures up of, this is how they tell me the world ends is a really good book. Cold of the Dead Cow is another really good one. Check those out if you've not. I've thoroughly enjoyed them. Social Engineering for Good, Never Split the Difference. That one is more of like the salesy side. Definitely a good book though. Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion. That is a really, really good one for sure. And then Joe Navarro, he's really good. He was also with the FBI, really good with body language. Chris Voss with the masterclass, The Art of Negotiation. Also, he was an FBI negotiator, did the Never Split the Difference book as well. But the masterclass, I really like it because it makes it a lot easier if you're watching a video to be able to see how this all works together, because they'll sit there and tell you to start using techniques like labeling, mirroring, and you read it and it's kind of like, all right, that sort of makes sense. But then when you actually see it in the video, it's like, oh, that's what they're doing. It was enlightening for me because my husband used to be a hostage negotiator, and I did not realize that he was using those techniques on our teenage daughter until I watched that series. And I was like, oh, you're mirroring. And the funny thing is it doesn't work very good on her. Normally these techniques work pretty good on teenagers, but then he gets very upset because they're not working and they should be. So that's kind of interesting too. So if you have a teenager, it'll be interesting if you use these techniques on them to see, do they respond or not? I blame the lack of frontal lobe development. I don't know. That's my excuse for it. Or the hormones, probably the hormones. Afford Anything podcast, they had one that was specific to talking to your parents about their retirement. Okay, not really social engineering or anything like that, but I found there was a lot of parallels because a lot of these scams that we're trying to educate our parents on are all financially motivated. This one, you're talking to your parents about finances, which is also not a topic that a lot of parents want to share with their kids. So listening to that episode kind of helps out too, because they really hit on asking the open-ended questions, empathy, things like that. So there's a lot of parallels there. Resources for minors. I hope nobody in here ever has to use these. But the cybertipline.org is where you go if you need to report an incident that happens with a minor. takeitdown.necmec.org removes images from the internet of minors. So this is not going to be for somebody who is not a minor and has been a victim of revenge porn. They're not going to look at it. But if you are a minor, they will absolutely go after it and they will remove those images. And then there's also the missingkids.org/education has some really good age-appropriate educational material for kids. It's pretty cute, some little videos and stuff they can do. Highly recommend checking that out. Now, the resources for the elder fraud, there's not a whole lot of videos and content out there. It's missing. And then you see some little like printouts and stuff that are out there that you can do, but it's not nearly like what we have for the kids, unfortunately. IC3.gov is where you would go if you need to report an incident. And of course, there's a, 1833 number here, because our parents probably are not going to be like, oh, let me go get on the internet on this website and tell them about how I just got scammed. So they've got a phone number they can call, or you can help them out with that. So the call to action. We need to get involved with either our skills or resources. Educate our kids and monitor closely what they're doing. Educate our parents with empathy. And advocate for online safety curriculum in the schools. This can get really tricky because they don't like talking about this kind of stuff with the kids. It gets into some really gray area and it's like, well, the parents might get upset. And I'm like, well, somebody's going to tell the kids what to watch out for. I mean, we don't need to go into like explicit details of what's happening online, but keep it, high level. So advocate for some of that. And especially they can do more of the in-depth training with the parents and have some sort of parent event where they come in without the kids and they discuss these things. And then the other one is to work with local senior centers to offer elder fraud prevention training, because this is an area that I think we are sucking at badly. They just do not have enough content on the internet. So if you feel like you would be good at delivering this content, please go work with the communities or your senior centers and talk to them of like, hey, can I teach a class? Can we work on this? And try to help out some of those elderly people in there. Okay, that's it. This is a very short presentation. Questions, comments, resources people know about that I left out that you would like to share with the group? Yes. Oh, okay. That's difficult. My grandfather had dementia. He had his good days. He had his bad days. It pretty much got to the point where my grandma just kind of handled everything. Luckily, she was still in a good state of mind and still is today. But she pretty much had to do everything because that was a struggle because he was definitely a nerd when I was growing up. He always had his computer. He had his ham radio shack. Like he was very involved with technology and he couldn't even operate a computer towards the end. I mean, it was bad. But I would say if you have hopefully somebody there that could just kind of handle all that stuff with them, because they're not going to remember half the time when you tell them this stuff, unfortunately. Yes.
So if you find out through one of your kids that one of their friends is doing risky things online, assuming you don't know the other parents, what do you think the best channel for handling that is? Is it through school counselors? Is it just find the parents and try to talk to them directly?
Yeah, I would definitely try to find the parents because I've seen stuff like that before, and I went and I talked to the parents. Luckily, my kid's school is very open about the parent directory and we can find each other. If that's not an option, then I would say, yeah, probably going to the school counselors, talking to them. If it's bad enough, you could go to law enforcement, but I would say that's kind of like only if you think this is like, oh crap, this kid's, yeah. Okay. Oh, yes. Oh, awesome. Okay. AARP. Thank you.